Hello fellow investors, welcome to Borex Investing. So before we get into our latest opportunity, let's do a quick portfolio check and see how we're doing compared to the overall market. So if we look here on the left side, this is our year-to-date performance. The S&P 500 has provided a 3.5% return almost. However, year-to-date, we're at 37%. So we've outperformed the market times 10. Now, if we look at the 1 year, so the S&P 500 on the 1 year has given a return of about 12%. However, we're at 118%. So, we're outperforming the market times 10. I'm very proud of this. I do dedicate a lot of resources and a lot of time to outperforming the market and making sure I'm investing in growing companies. But I'm always constantly asking myself, what's next? So in a previous article on my website, I highlighted a powerful investing principle from Warren Buffett. And he once famously pointed out that during the gold rush in California, the people who made the most money weren't actually the miners. They were the guys selling shovels to the miners. So after doing tons of research, I've really discovered what I think is the next great shovel opportunity in investing. And as the title suggests, it's nuclear power. So if you stick around, I'll explain in this video how you can invest in nuclear energy via stocks or ETFs. But first, let's talk about how I came to this conclusion. So why nuclear energy now? If you look at AI, data centers, robotics, and EVs, they're really driving unprecedented demand for electricity on a global scale. And we're going to need more electricity to charge all these electric cars, to charge these robots, to power the data centers, and to really fuel the AI revolution that's incoming. And renewable sources like solar and wind will not be able to meet this surge in demand. But nuclear power provides consistent, reliable, and carbon-free electricity that will meet this demand, in my opinion. So how do we know this? Well, we can look at a recent case study and see what Germany and France have recently done and draw our own conclusions from there. So Germany in 2023, what did they do? Well, they actually shut down their last nuclear power stations. This was, of course, hailed as a big win for the Green Party, as they were ecstatic that Germany going forward would rely mostly on wind and solar for all their electricity needs. But unfortunately, that happiness did not last long. So what ended up happening since then is that electricity prices surged in Germany, becoming the most expensive in Europe. So this was due mostly to having low sun and wind levels during the winter months, something that they referred to as Dunkelflaute. So it shouldn't be that surprising that a country which is famous for having gray skies from November to March couldn't use the sun's rays to power their solar panels. So they had to restart their coal plants and they started importing electricity to avoid shortages. Well, for me, this was pretty funny because as someone who's located in Poland, we've always heard this criticism from Germany that Poland uses way too much coal to produce electricity. And, they were supposed to go green, they went green, and it didn't work out, and they've had to start using coal again. So how about the French? What did the French do? Well, in 2023, they actually started investing heavily in nuclear energy. So since then, their electricity costs have become the lowest in the EU, and they started exporting electricity to Germany. So Germany went from a net exporter of electricity to a net importer. So this really highlights the reliability that nuclear power can provide. And funny to note, not coincidentally, our wonderful friends at NVIDIA chose France to build Europe's largest data center by 2028, highlighting its cheap and abundant nuclear power. So I think this is a funny representation of how things happened. You have the French with their nuclear power. You have a German power cord with a little fan powering wind turbines. I mean, it sums up the situation perfectly. So thankfully, our friends in Germany have realized their mistake, and recently, as just a few months ago, they did recommit to nuclear power. And this goes hand in hand with the World Bank lifting the ban on funding nuclear projects. So we're going to start seeing more nuclear projects around Northern Europe, and potentially in North America as well. If we see now, we already have Denmark looking to lift a 40-year ban on nuclear power, so it looks like they're going to go that route. And Belgium is looking to build nuclear facilities, again, for all of these coming electricity needs. And of course, Poland is looking to build their first nuclear power plant with the help of the Americans. So my high conviction investment thesis here is that nuclear will become critical as electricity demand rises globally. And this is a significant opportunity for investors who want to stay ahead of the curve. So if you want to invest in nuclear, what are some of the different stocks you can buy to look into this? Well, let's take a look. First stock we're going to highlight is ticker CCJ Camco Corporation. So they're the world's largest publicly traded uranium producer, and CCJ benefits directly from rising uranium prices and from global nuclear adoption. So actually the company that's building the nuclear plant in Poland is Westinghouse, and Westinghouse is majority owned by Camco Corporation. The next company on the list is ticker CEJ, and it's Constellation Energy Corporation. They're the largest nuclear operator in the US, and they're known as a stable, regulated, carbon-free energy supplier. And Meta, the company that owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, they just signed a 20-year agreement with Constellation Energy to buy nuclear power from them. So the third company on the list is ticker LEU, Centrus Energy Corporation. So they really specialize in enriched uranium fuel and advanced reactor technology. So they're going to be a key supplier for next generation nuclear reactors, including these SMRs, which we'll get to in a second. So the last company on this list is ticker SMR, and it's NuScale Power Corporation. So they're the current leaders in small modular reactors, SMRs. So these reactors are considered far safer and technologically superior. So this was the first SMR that was actually approved by US regulators. And for me, this is a very high risk, high reward because there's significant upside potential. So I'm personally opening up a position in CCJ, and full disclosure, it's partially because I am biased and I want to see their nuclear project in Poland succeed with Westinghouse. So we'll see how that goes. But again, this is a very stable, established firm that I think is really going to grow significantly in the next 5 years. Now, if you don't like investing in stocks and you prefer investing in ETFs, here are two ETFs that you can potentially invest in. The first one is ticker URA. This is Global X Uranium. So this gives you direct exposure to global uranium mining. And the holdings in this ETF include Camco, Kazatomprom, NextGen Energy, Denison Mines, and Energy Fuels. So this has a higher potential for greater returns than the next ETF, but remember it's going to be higher volatility as well. There's always greater volatility with anything that has to do with mining. So uranium mining, there's always risks with that. Now, the second ETF is VanEck Uranium and Nuclear Energy. It's ticker NLR, and it provides very balanced exposure. So it's not just miners, it's also nuclear facilities, the infrastructure. And the main holdings of this ETF include Constellation, Camco, the Public Service Enterprise Group, Dominion Energy, and Kansai Electric. So this is going to be a more stable ETF with lower volatility that's going to pay a better dividend. So which ETF is right for you? Well, that depends. If you want something with higher upside and higher risk, then you could look at this one, URA. However, if you're looking for something a little more stable and you're kind of income and stability focused, then selecting NLR would be the better option for stable returns and lower risk and volatility. So closing thoughts. Look, global electricity demand is going to skyrocket due to all these AI things, the data centers, the EVs, the cloud computings, the robots. I mean, imagine what's going to power all of these robots that are apparently going to be in everybody's house within 10 years. It's going to have to be electricity, and it's going to have to be nuclear electricity. And if we look at what Amazon, Google, and Meta are, where they're putting their money, they're really supporting nuclear power, and they want clean, efficient, cheap energy, and that's just something that nuclear is going to have to provide for us. So past nuclear fears due to things like Chernobyl or Fukushima are totally understandable. Trust me, I was born in Eastern Europe in 1986, 86, but I'm very aware and I've heard the history of Chernobyl and I've heard stories from my parents, but I think we really have to get past that stigma and realize that technology and safety have really significantly advanced since then. And today's nuclear energy offers safety and it's actually sustainable. So I think this presents investors with a strategic and transformative opportunity for the next decade. I hope you found this helpful. That's all for now. Thank you. And please subscribe if you found this useful and visit my website, borexinvesting.com, to get the full deep dive on nuclear. And just FYI, I will be putting out more videos going forward. I'll try to record one every week with my latest investment picks. And yeah, that's it. I hope we can all make some money together. Thank you.